Right before the announcement of the last Nintendo Direct, I guessed what I thought would be announced, and I was about 30% right. I felt like I had a better grasp than I expected, so I was pretty happy about that. I also called the fact a Direct was happening, so that was really super cool. That being said, today I'm going to be doing basically the same thing again with the E3 Direct that we know is coming. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a preview of what you will definitely see tomorrow. The first thing we'll see is another COVID announcement, and I guarantee we'll hear more about COVID announcements as it goes on. That will drip to black, and then we will see a shot of Mario driving directly overhead of the camera, zipping around the track like it's in Mario Kart. It might even be on Rainbow Road or another familiar track that we're used to. Then, right after Mario gets hit with a green shell, Link will drive right past him, reminding us that yes, there will be other characters other than Mario in this kart racer. Then, he'll get hit with a red shell, and who will have hit him? Kirby, who is finally in a Mario Kart game. After that, Kirby will get overtaken and bumped by Luigi, who will speed right past him, who will then get taken out with a strange beam of some kind by, who is that? That's right, Samus Aran of the Metroid series. She's going to zoom right past him, and all of a sudden the camera is going to shift a little bit, and you're going to realize that there's a lot of Nintendo characters in this. And as Samus crosses the finish line, the title card will slowly fade in. Super Smash Kart. That's right, the Mario Kart IP is going to be retired for the purposes of the Switch, and in its place, a new Nintendo-branded kart with the possibility of DLC characters is going to emerge. As a result, you won't just have the familiar items you're used to in things like Mario Kart. We're not just going to have green shells, blue shells, piranha plants, and boos. Instead, now we're going to see some character-specific items. So with Link, we might see an updated boomerang or a bow and arrow. With Samus, we might get a form of blaster gun. And then, as DLC characters come, we'll actually get more items and expansions to the base game. Take a look at something like Cuphead. If Cuphead were the first DLC character, which could happen actually, we might get the finger gun attachment, which gives you a number of rounds to fire and randomly assigns you one of the different finger guns that Cuphead actually used in the game. This way, the Mario Kart brand and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe can still be safe without necessarily cannibalizing it on itself, but Nintendo has the potential for a new, potentially very well-performing game independent of the Mario label, especially since Nintendo and Mario are already pretty indistinguishable. I think this is going to be just fine. Obviously, after that, Iwata will come on, and he'll explain a little bit about what we just saw and what to expect over the next year. Super Smash Kart, I predict, will release in summer 2022, which he will go into. He'll also mention that there will be a chance to see it and demo it in the Nintendo Treehouse Live. The screen will fade, and epic battle music will start sweeping in as a sword gets plunged into the ground right in front of the camera, and the Fire Emblem logo comes and the screen pans up to a war-torn sky. We will then get a trailer for the new core series Fire Emblem title coming to Nintendo Switch. I don't really know what to expect since Fire Emblem games are kind of all over the place. I do think it will be similar in gameplay and design to Fire Emblem Three Houses. They'll probably use a lot of the same engine, and for the enemy models, probably the exact same models. I don't think it will involve school, but I do think there will be like a battle camp or some kind of training. We might even see a different time period being reflected, so maybe the weapons will be more advanced. Maybe they'll stick with just the swords and arrows. That could work too, but I definitely see this coming. I think they finally stopped updating Fire Emblem Three Houses and are now looking to the future. The new Fire Emblem title will release in 2022, so definitely not this year. This is more of a confirmation that it is coming, as well as a showcase of some of the ideas they've got working on, while not necessarily dedicating to anything specific in particular. After that, we're going to transition into some indie game that the developers are going to talk about for way too long. This could be Mafia City, who knows. All I know is it's going to eat up way too much time for this presentation, and we're all going to get sick and tired of it. But after that, we're going to get a new Kirby title. that will be exciting to see. I am very stoked at the prospect of a new Kirby. I think it will still be directed at a younger demographic, but I do think there could be a bit of a longer game, potentially even a 3D Kirby brought into existence, finally, because I think we've needed one for very long. Who knows if it will actually happen? This is definitely one of the breaches on the list, but I very much think they've got plans for Kirby, and I think we're going to see them at E3.
Target your opponents.
One I think is much more obvious and more probable is ARMS 2. This is going to come directly following Kirby and is going to show off a brand new character stepping up into the ring to face against the boss from the last game. Now, there will be some confusion at first. Is this a new DLC fighter all of a sudden? Is this a new game? But they will confirm a new roster, new lineup. Every character from the first one is returning. Some of them will have tweaks. There will be a couple new modes, so maybe the volleyball mode, maybe the basketball mode will get expanded on. Online multiplayer, maybe there will be 2v2 instead of just 1v1. I'm expecting a big overhaul and a big showcase of ARMS 2 because I think Nintendo's really going to push that, trying to get it into the competitive esports arena. This game, I predict, will come out in October of 2021. Once again, Nintendo's not going to make it their holiday title, but is going to release it close enough to the holidays that it's still new when Christmas runs around. Then we're going to hit either the good or the dreaded Pokemon section. I think the Pokemon section will be about 6 minutes long and shows more gameplay of both upcoming titles, especially with them premiering so relatively soon after E3 and us having really no knowledge of anything that's going to be in the games. The Diamond and Pearl remakes in particular currently look very bland, and I think what they're going to show and highlight in E3 is how different they are from the originals. Rather than just being a shot-for-shot or pixel-for-pixel remake, I think we're going to see some new inclusions the same way we saw in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Maybe that will extend to either Dynamaxing or Mega Evolution. Maybe that will just have elements of the Distortion world from Platinum incorporated into the game. Maybe the mythical legendaries from the original games will be available for capture in Diamond and Pearl. Maybe it will have a chance to have an expanded Pokedex, including up to Gen 9 Pokemon. That would be incredible. But either way, I do expect a little bit more than just a vanilla remake. I think that has been long since abandoned, and I think it will have some new features that we're not expecting, but will be greatly appreciated. Now, Legends Arceus, which is the one I think people are more excited for, will show off a little more gameplay, this time running a lot smoother. However, I want to go ahead and make this point now. If Legends Arceus doesn't get delayed, one of two things are going to happen. Either A, it is going to be incredibly buggy and ugly at launch, and at some points almost unplayable, or B, it's going to be like 10 to 15 hours long, and that's it. They have not put enough time into this game to make it something good. I know that they outsourced part of Diamond and Pearl remakes to Bandai Namco, I believe, but even then, it's just not been long enough to make a game of the scale we're expecting run as good as we're expecting, especially when less than a year ago, the game was running at like 10 frames per second. All I'm saying is, will we get news? Yes, definitely. Will it be good news? Maybe. But what will be good news is immediately after that, I'm predicting Xenoblade Chronicles X coming to Switch. It's one of the last few Wii U exclusives not on the system, and definitely one that could sell a lot better being on the Switch console. I'm going to go ahead and call that it will release later in the year, once again probably hitting that October sweet spot. Anything really to keep Monolith Soft from having to develop a third game in the franchise. I really think this one is going to be a shoe-in for E3. From there, I think they're going to move into their indie showcase section, where we get a bunch of games shown at us rapidly fast with release dates and just a small bit of gameplay for us to digest. I obviously don't know what would fill this section, so I'm going to throw out a couple that either might come to Switch, or we know are coming to Switch, or we don't have release dates. So like Baron Breakfast, Deltarune, Super Zoo Story, which is a blatant Stardew Valley ripoff, Genshin Impact. anything maybe to fill kind of this little rapid fire section. Obviously Genshin is a little bit different because they did announce they're having some issues with it running on Switch, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's beside the point. Because after all this, we're going to get to some of the big boys of this presentation. This is going to kick off the Zelda section. So we're going to start with a small trailer for Skyward Sword. I'm predicting like maybe 1 to 2 minutes, show off a little bit more of the gameplay than was in the last Direct, but not a ton to kind of overshadow the rest of the event, especially with the title being a kind of an oddball re-release, especially when we're really looking for a main core series Zelda title coming out soon. After that, once again, Aonuma is going to come back on and make some vague comment relating to, I told you last time we'd have news on Breath of the Wild 2 later this year. Well, it's later. We're going to get a 2 to 3 minute Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. We're not going to see a ton of the story, but we're definitely going to see displays of gameplay and potential character switching mechanics, though I'm not confident on the second one. It's just something I think could be cool and something that they seem to be indicating, but I might be reading too much into that. This is going to be Nintendo's 2021 holiday title. They cannot have a repeat of last year where Age of Calamity was their big holiday slugger, because that game has completely died off in terms of momentum. Also, I think in this section there will be mention of a Zelda 35th Anniversary Direct. I'm predicting August as a good time to slide that in, but we'll see. Obviously with that, when that comes around, I'm predicting things like a 3-pack of 3D Zeldas and some kind of limited release eShop title of the original series of games. We'll see. After that, I'm going to go with something guaranteed, which is Shin Megami Tensei 5. This one has been leaked, and I have avoided spoilers as much as I possibly can. I do know that it is going to release in November, which is surprising to me because I really thought Atlas was going to delay this one. I think we will see some new gameplay, some story elements, as well as a new negotiation mechanic. I do think it will be similar to the negotiations in the past games, but I do think it will be revamped a little bit to be just a little bit more user-friendly, rather than kind of the guesswork that was in Shin Megami Tensei 3, as well as some general quality of life improvements over the past couple of games, especially 4. 4 was a great game, but it did suffer a little bit by being on the 3DS hardware. One thing that is not guaranteed, but I do very much predict, is Persona 4 Golden following that. I think after the PC release and the great sales it experienced, I genuinely think Persona 4 Golden is going to jump the Switch. The Vita is a dead console by now, and the PC crowd has already kind of bought into it, so I really think they're going to try and give it a little bit more life by re-releasing on the Nintendo Switch. It will be the quote-unquote definitive version with all DLC packs and the golden epilogue ending implemented. We might also get the Persona 4 dancing game brought into it, and I would absolutely adore the Persona 4 arena games coming as well, but that's a bit of a reach. After this, the presentation is going to go silent. We're going to fade to black, and we're going to get yet another Smash reveal trailer. It's a long shot, but I'm honestly guessing Crash Bandicoot. I think it's going to use the model and large moveset from Crash 4, but I genuinely think we're going to get a PlayStation mascot in the same way we got Solid Snake. Finally, Iwata is going to return and say something like he hopes we all enjoyed the presentation, though he does have one more surprise in store for us. A black screen will show up and Cappy will fly at it before returning to Luigi? Yes, I am absolutely predicting that the Super Mario Odyssey sequel will not only be confirmed at E3, but will be Luigi-centered. I genuinely think that instead of having Mario go on yet another trip around the world, instead, for some incomprehensible reason, Luigi is going to take center stage here. He's going to do a very similar trip to Mario. Obviously, he will visit new kingdoms. Obviously, not Princess Peach, but Daisy will be the center focus here. But I predict that for the first time ever, Luigi is going to get his first 3D platforming game. Quote me on this. I have so much hope buried into this. I am so stoked. I think he's going to control a little bit slipperier, jump a little bit higher, and it's going to be so much fun revisiting a Super Mario Odyssey style sandbox game with a completely different controlling character. Obviously, I made some bold predictions in here. Will all of them come true? No. Will some of them come true? Definitely. I am so excited for this Direct. I am moving into my house the day before this Direct, and I'm having people over that morning just to watch this with me. So I am obviously very excited and will be posting my reaction, honestly, probably tomorrow. So if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like down below. If you have thoughts on my predictions, I think some of them are a little bit farther reaches than others, but I am hopeful, and I think they're largely pretty realistic. I think some of them, you know, go out there a little bit, but I think for the most part they're pretty Johnny on the spot. So let me know what you think down below, and like we always say here on the channel, I hope to see you around sometime. Oh, and subscribe.